You need to implement a AS9100. We'll guide you step by step. Document control is not clerical decoration. It prevents people from working with obsolete revisions, unclear approval status, damaged or missing information, and excessive documents that add no value. The procedure must make the correct information easy to identify, easy to access, and difficult to misuse before a wrong output reaches the customer. After defining the implementation chronogram, the next practical task is to define how the organization will create and control the information that supports the QMS. In this three-part build, we will create an original document control and records procedure from a blank page. Part 1 establishes the controlled identity, the foundational sections, and the responsibilities that make the method operational. The roadmap remains the organizing spine of the series. Step 1, produce the implementation chronogram. Step 2 is the document control and records procedure, and it will remain in progress through all three parts. We will mark it complete only when the procedure has been built, verified, and connected to its forms and annexes. A functional procedure controls the complete lifecycle of documented information. It tells the organization how information is created, reviewed, approved, released, used, changed, retained, and retired. That same method must be simple enough for every process owner to follow and scalable enough to support the QMS as it grows. Now open a blank Word document. Before writing requirements, build the controlled identity that every later page will inherit. This prevents a detached page from becoming anonymous and gives the organization one consistent format from the first procedure onward. The front page has 4 control zones. The header identifies the organization, the full document title, the requirement being addressed, the document code, revision, date, and page count. The center names the procedure and its owner. The proprietary statement clarifies ownership. The footer repeats the code, revision, and date in month, day, year format. Begin the header with the organization that owns the information. Use the legal or controlled organization name and, if appropriate, its logo. A detached page should still identify its owner. The center zone states the full procedure title and the requirement being addressed. Use document control and records as the title, then identify a AS9100 clause 7.5.3 as the requirement supported by the procedure. Whenever the code appears, pair it with the full title rather than presenting an unexplained code alone. The right zone makes the document's control status visible. Use P001 as the new procedure code, revision as the first released revision, the date format month, day, year, and page X of Y. These fields let a user confirm identity, status, the current revision, and completeness before relying on the page. Repeat the controlled header on every page, not only on the cover. If someone prints, emails, or detaches a page, the organization, title, code, revision, date, and pagination remain visible. That simple repetition prevents detached content from losing its control status. At the center of the front page, write the full title, document control and records. Beneath it, identify the organization that owns and authorizes the document. A brand slogan may support the page, but it must never substitute for the controlled title or the legal owner. Repeat the code, released revision, and date in the footer. This is a secondary verification point, not a substitute for the controlled header. Keep the convention consistent across every document template and write every date in month, day, year format so the system does not mix date conventions. Add a concise corporate ownership or proprietary statement to the controlled template. Its purpose is to identify ownership and discourage unauthorized alteration. Apply that statement to controlled documents. Completed quality records are managed through identification, access, protection, and retention controls, which we will build in Part 3. The front page now controls identity. It identifies the organization, the full procedure title, the applicable requirement P001, the released revision, the month, day, year date convention, pagination, and ownership. Before moving forward, test the page by imagining it detached from the rest of the procedure. If it still identifies itself and its status, the front page control is working. The second controlled page is the revision history. Record the revision, the release date in month, day, year format, a meaningful description of the change and the people who prepared, reviewed, and approved it. A revision history should make the document's evolution understandable. It should not be a list of vague words such as updated or corrected. Create and reserve the table of contents page now, but do not populate it yet. The procedure is still being built, so any page numbers entered now would become unstable. We will generate the table of contents at the end of Part 3, after the procedure is complete. Next, build sections 1 through 7 in the order people need them: purpose, scope, prescriptive documents, external documents, reference documents, acronyms and definitions, and responsibilities. Each section answers a different operational question and adds one defined control to the procedure. Section 1 defines why the procedure exists and what result it must produce. A strong purpose explains that the procedure establishes one method to create, identify, review, approve, release, access, revise, retain, and retire QMS documented information so people use the correct information where work is performed. Test the sentence. If it does not help prevent wrong information from reaching the process, revise it. Section 2 draws the boundary. Apply the procedure to QMS documents and records created or received for use in planning, operating, verifying, and improving the organization's processes. Include internally created requirements, customer or regulator information, approved forms used to capture results, and completed evidence that must be retained. Scope must say what is controlled, not merely repeat the document title. The QMS contains two related but different realms. Requirements tell people how work must be performed. Our simple coding family is QMA, PRS, and PRO, followed by OPR, OIT, and FOR. Records show what the process is actually produced. They belong to the operational processes and are controlled as evidence. They are not another level inside the requirements hierarchy. Prescriptive documents are the internal requirements that tell the organization what must be done. They can include the quality policy, the quality manual, process sheets, general procedures, operating instructions, and forms. The section should clarify which internal information is mandatory without becoming a catalog of every document. External documents originate outside the organization but can control the work. Examples include customer drawings, laws and regulations, supplier manuals, and industry specifications. The procedure should require an owner, a known source, confirmation of the current revision, and an authorized access point so external information is not treated as uncontrolled reference material. Reference documents are the sources used to design, interpret, or support the procedure. Examples include a AS9100 ISO9001, ISO 9000, and applicable customer or regulator guidance. A reference explains where the method came from, but it does not automatically become an internal work instruction. Keep that distinction clear. Build the acronym register as the procedure introduces terms. Write the full term first, then add an acronym only when it will be used again. For this procedure, useful pairs are Quality Management System QMS, Quality Manager QM, Document Control DC, and Process Owner PO. Do not preload the section with abbreviations that never appear in the text. Definitions should help the reader operate the procedure. Define documented information, controlled document, uncontrolled copy, and quality record in plain language. Add more definitions only when a term could be interpreted differently by the people using the method. Definitions are not decoration, they prevent ambiguity in execution. President approves PRO01 and ensures implementation. Its process owner, the quality assurance manager, implements it, alone manages improvement, ensures compliance, and audits it. Process owners apply PRO01 throughout their documentation lifecycles. Document control manages codes, revisions, status, controlled release repository, and master list. Translate the responsibility section into a working path. Any employee may initiate a change. The process owner revises the technical content. Document control verifies correctness, manages the revision, and issues it for approval. The quality manager approves it. Document control then releases the approved revision for use. The procedure should preserve evidence at each step in that path and avoid silent replacement of controlled information. This is the actual editable procedure we have created through Section 7. It is no longer a schematic. Every page identifies itself with the organization, the full title, requirement, code, revision, date, and page status. The document now contains the controlled front page and revision history. The contents page remains reserved until the procedure is complete. It also contains purpose and scope, the separation between requirements and records, the 3 document source categories, the acronym and definition rules, and role-based responsibilities. This completes the controlled foundation for Part 1. In Part 2, we will write the general requirements in full and turn this controlled foundation into an operating method. We will define the authoritative repository, document identification and option B coding, issuance and approval, the workflow for new and revised information, the master list, ordinary and controlled distribution, cancellation and storage and access. Roadmap Step 2 remains in progress until Part 3 completes the records controls, annexes, verification, and the final table of contents.